KMOX has been and always will be committed to what has made this one of the greatest radio stations in America. I'm Jack Buck. In this special program, we'll tell you more about KMOX, about its rich history and tradition, about what makes it so special, about the people who have made us great. Our goal is, as it has always been, to be the best public servant we can be, to be the best radio station we can be, today, tomorrow, and always.
This is the KMOX Family Album, a closer look at one of America's greatest radio stations.
When you're investing for your retirement, you know where you want to go. But if you have to keep stopping to pay the tolls, like sales loads and annual fees, it can really slow you down. That's why a Schwab no annual fee IRA can be a smart move. With an IRA worth $10,000, you won't have to pay annual fees for the life of the account, guaranteed. What's more, you can choose from the Mutual Fund One Source service, 200 funds with no loads and no transaction fees. So, stop paying tolls you don't have to. Make all of your retirement money go to work for you. Just call 1-800-4-NO-LOAD. That's 1-800-4-NO-LOAD. Call Schwab for prospectuses with more information. Please read carefully before investing. 12B1 fees over 0.25% and other restrictions apply. Limited time offer. Charles Schwab & Company, Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Some people just want to clean their teeth. At Oral-B, we want to help you keep them. Introducing Oral-B Tooth and Gum Care Toothpaste. It's the only toothpaste with stabilized stannous fluoride, the only fluoride clinically proven to fight cavities as well as plaque. And it combines this patented formula with the refreshing flavor of natural mint. New Tooth and Gum Care Toothpaste from the laboratories of Oral-B, makers of the toothbrush more dentists use.
Okay, here's the lowdown on JCPenney's 92nd anniversary sale. Right now, you'll find the lowest prices of the season on some of your favorite spring and summer merchandise, like Alicia pantyhose for women, Van Heusen shirts for men, Arizona Jean Company shorts for girls, and Ultraform twin sheets for the home. So hurry in and discover just how low we'll go at the 92nd anniversary sale. Only at Sale ends April 9th.
KMOX.
KMOX Radio's history is one of the richest in American broadcasting. KMOX went on the air in 1925, owned by a group that included Wagner Electric Company, the Globe Democrat, St. Louis Southwestern Railway, Skouras Brothers Theatrical Enterprises, Merchants Exchange, Mayfair Hotel, and the Mississippi Valley Trust Company. KMOX Radio's first broadcast was on Christmas Eve, 1925, with a power of 5,000 watts. The KMOX call letters have meaning. Stations located west of the Mississippi River begin with the letter K. MO, of course, is the abbreviation for Missouri, and the X stands for Christmas when KMOX went on the air. In September of 1927, KMOX became one of the original stations to join the CBS network. By December of that year, KMOX had become a permanent affiliate of the CBS network. And by 1932, CBS had complete ownership of the station. KMOX increased power from 5,000 to 50,000 watts in 1936. The new powerful signal connected St. Louis with most of the continental United States and a large portion of Canada and Mexico. In 1941, KMOX moved to its present 1120 position on the dial. From the beginning, KMOX Radio's mission has been to inform and entertain. And for the first time in history, radio is bringing music and comedy right into the living rooms of America. Listeners tuned into KMOX to hear such local stars as Skeet Ciani, Wade, Pappy Ray, and Roy Queen. By 1927, KMOX brought listeners the triumphant return of Charles Lindbergh. KMOX was truly on its way to becoming one of the biggest stations in the country, with families gathered to hear the latest radio programs.
I practiced all morning to limber up. I even washed my fingers and does. Does doesn't do it, I'm dead.
Better switch to Wheaties, kid.
But, Jack, I thought Mary was going to come with you. Where is she? Oh, she's...
And they also tuned in for KMOX's Personalities, a tradition that continues today. With the added resources of CBS News, KMOX was able to take its listeners around the world. We were there when Franklin D. Roosevelt prepared a nation for difficult times.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
We were there with the troops at Normandy.
The minesweeping was good. It was a low-tide landing, and the minesweepers did the most difficult job ever done by the little ship.
We were there when President Truman described the devastation at Hiroshima, and Japan surrendered to MacArthur.
The world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped on a military base. We won the race of discovery against the Germans.
And we were there on the streets in downtown St. Louis when we celebrated the victory over Japan, marking the end of World War II. KMOX was there as the nation mourned the loss of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, his brother Bobby, and Martin Luther King Jr.
Now the caisson begins John F. Kennedy's last journey away from the White House.
Through the 70s and 80s, KMOX covered the news.
This is Gary Shepard in New York with a late bulletin. Civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in the head and is...
It's one small step for man.
I have asked for this radio and television time tonight for the purpose of announcing that we today have concluded an agreement to end the war and bring peace with honor in Vietnam.
When the Berlin Wall came down, KMOX was there also. And when our nation once again transferred power to a new administration, we were there. We've had a great history at KMOX. Great entertainment, great personalities, exciting sports, the very best news presentation, plus weather and traffic information. All of this has formed the foundation for today. The music evolved, the soap operas moved to television, the personalities grew, our news coverage increased.
Play by play, I saw it on the radio. It is going, it is going, it is gone.
KMOX has been the home of the St. Louis Cardinals to millions of Americans since 1942, with names like Franz Laux, Harry Carey, Joe Garagiola, Bob Starr, Mike Shannon, Joe Buck, and that other guy. KMOX has been the station for University of Missouri football and basketball. And who could forget the legendary Dan Kelly?
Around the net, a centering pass. Back on the point for Picard. A drive, he scores!
KMOX has also covered the football Cardinals.
Allen goes back to throw and sets and looks and fires. Long and deep for Mel Gray. He's there at the 10-5. Touchdown!
The 1982 World Series.
The winner! The Cardinals go to the series! Oh, what an ending! What was it that we said? It's on the street. About a story unfolding.
The incredible excitement of the 87 playoffs. We were there for it all, and so were our listeners. In 1952, a man who had guided the course of KMOX for over 30 years joined the station, Robert Hyland Jr. He began his radio career as an announcer at WTAD in Quincy, Illinois. Once at KMOX, he quickly began to build the station into the powerhouse it remains today. Shortly after becoming general manager, he brought Cardinal baseball broadcasts back to the station. With the advent of television, the face of radio was changing. Many of the soap operas, drama series, and game shows were moving to TV. Many stations began to play music just to fill the time. For KMOX to continue to grow and continue to be successful, it had to evolve. So in 1960, Bob Hyland launched the At Your Service format. KMOX became a multi-dimensional talk station. Robert Hyland described the station as 4 stations in one: news, information, sports, and entertainment. Frequently, he came to work at 2 o'clock in the morning, remained till 6 in the evening, just to make sure the new format worked. And he employed people such as Ann Keefe, Wendy Weiss, and Bill Wilkerson to help it work. Hyland hired talent that worked within the four dimensions of KMOX. Other people like Rex Davis, Bob Hardy, John McCormick, Jack Carney, and that other guy. In the 60s and 70s, the station continued to grow with personalities like Jim White, again Ann Keefe, Bob Costas, Dan Deerdorf. In the 80s, again, Wendy Weiss, Bruce Bradley, Ron Jacober, Art Fleming, Mike Kelly. In March of 1992, Robert Hyland Jr. passed away after a lengthy illness.
I just don't think people fully comprehend and have no way of comprehending the enormous impact that he had on this city.
Vince, we can guarantee the people this, that the blues would not be in St. Louis were it not for Bob Hyland.
No question.
He took the place of a father for me in some aspects of my life, and I owe him my entire career, but I actually also owe him a portion of my life. I really do.
Robert Hyland dedicated nearly 40 years to KMOX Radio and to the St. Louis community.
Next, we'll continue to talk about KMOX's more recent history on the KMOX Family Album.
Never before in America and in no other country in the world has it been easier to get top grades in math. The answer is Math Made Easy videotapes. Whether it's basic math, high school math, or college math, there are tested and proven Math Made Easy instructional videotapes just for you. If you're eager to get top grades in math, Math Made Easy tutoring tapes are a must. It's like having your own professional tutor at your side. Follow the thousands of students, elementary, high school, and college, who have gained confidence and have prepared for A's in math. With Math Made Easy tapes, you'll get a jump start on fractions, percents, algebra, and more advanced math. Call now for a free brochure. There's no obligation. Dial 1-800-USA-MATH. 1-800-USA-MATH. If you're a parent or grandparent, now's the time to help your child before he or she falls behind. There is no greater gift than the gift of knowledge. Math Made Easy videotapes are available on a 30-day money-back trial basis. Get the facts now. Call toll-free 1-800-USA-MATH. Used by leading educators throughout America. That's 1-800-USA-MATH.
Annette Zeems, LensCrafters Optician.
Now you can get 50% off all frames at LensCrafters. 50% off every frame we carry. Other places run discount offers, but there's some kind of catch. At LensCrafters, it's a real half-price sale, no strings attached. 50% off every single frame we carry, and we'll still make your glasses in about an hour. People should not miss this.
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends soon. See store for details.
The best way to shop for a home today? Call Countrywide first. First? Yeah. Get your loan amount pre-qualified right on the phone. Then with your loan pre-qualified, your real estate agent can show you homes you know you can afford. Saves a lot of looking. Countrywide. Affordable loans pre-qualified. Call 800-877-LOAN. 800-877-LOAN. I like it. Countrywide. Equal housing lender.
Voice of St. Louis. News Talk 1120. KMOX.
This is the KMOX Family Album.
Rod Zimmerman was chosen by CBS to succeed Robert Hyland in April of 1992. Rod Zimmerman, a Midwesterner from Pekin, Illinois, joined CBS Radio in 1978 at WBBM Radio in Chicago. He held several positions within CBS, including general manager of CBS Detroit stations before joining KMOX. Rod Zimmerman has fond memories of growing up listening to KMOX.
Like most people that listen to KMOX, I grew up listening to KMOX. I really am from a community that I consider KMOX in St. Louis's backyard. And we spent many, many evenings in the summer in our backyard and listening to Cardinal baseball, to Jack Buck and Harry Carey from the final years of Stan Musial's career, to Bob Gibson and Lou Brock and Kurt Flood and those great seasons starting in the mid to late 60s. So I understand what it's like for a radio station to be woven into the fabric of my family.
In April of 1993, Bob Hardy passed away. Bob was a key part of KMOX programming for 33 years. Later that same year, Ann Keefe retired after 17 years with the station. In the past year or so, KMOX has added some new members to our on-air family. Captain Roger Brand took to the air in Jet Copter 1. Diana Prophet joined the station for the overnight talk show. Barbara Whitesides can now be heard in the early afternoon, and Doug McKelvin is on KMOX for the ride home. Nan Wyatt from the station's news department has not only covered the big stories, but also acts as a talk show host. Soon you'll hear Nan Wyatt with a new program on Sunday mornings called the Sunday News Magazine. She will have interviews with Washington correspondents, newsmakers, and take your calls on the current events shaping our lives. Nan will begin new duties as the station's special events reporter this week with a trip to Washington to talk with national leaders on current events. This Monday, April 11th, KMOX will begin airing the Rush Limbaugh Show, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Always thought that the one radio station which we could get for our little network here that would really validate what we're doing would be KMOX. Because KMOX has been such a dominant radio station. I've always said about KMOX to people who've asked me, why is it so important? Is in most radio stations, in order to succeed and be number one, reflect the community. They find out what's going on in the community and reflect it. I think in St. Louis, KMOX has been the opposite. I think whatever KMOX was and what KMOX decided was important was what the people of St. Louis thought was important.
Rush Limbaugh is heard by nearly 18 million Americans daily and is one of the most successful talk show hosts in history. He is a catalyst for stimulating and compelling discussion. Rush Limbaugh was born in January 1951 in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. He chose to explore his passion of broadcasting at age 16 by working on air each afternoon for a radio station in his hometown. After 4 years, it was off to Pittsburgh, and then the ABC owned and operated KQV. By 1983, Rush got the broadcasting bug back and re-entered radio as a political commentator for KMBZ in Kansas City. A year later, he was hosting a daytime talk show on KFBK Sacramento and nearly tripled the program's ratings in 4 years. From Sacramento on to New York in 1988 and the birth of Rush's record-breaking national show. Rush Limbaugh is a nationally known commentator and frequent guest on programs such as Nightline with Ted Koppel and CNN's Crossfire. He's also the author of 2 best-selling books. Here's the KMOX program schedule effective this Monday. Bill and Wendy have total information from 5 in the morning till 8:30. Kevin Horrigan and Charles Brennan's morning meeting is on the air from 8:30 something until 11. Rush Limbaugh will be on from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Barbara Whitesides from 2 to 4. Doug McKelvin from 4 until 6. Our evening program has Sports Open Line at 6 o'clock. Doug McKelvin returns from 8 till 10 on those evenings when we are not airing play-by-play sports. The Big Bumper, Jim White, is on at 10, and Diana Prophet takes you through the overnight hours from 2 until 5 in the morning. Before Rush Limbaugh came to KMOX, he made these statements about his feelings concerning being a part of the KMOX family.
Any time that I thought there was a chance or an opening at KMOX, and there seldom were those chances or openings, that I'd call in Osborne and say, look, just turn on a tape. And I don't want to hear a tape of your show, whatever you're doing now. Just turn on a tape and start talking to me. So what I would do is try to say KMOX the way I always remembered everybody who worked at KMOX saying it. I'd sit there and say, hi, Rush Limbaugh and KMOX FM, St. Louis. I did all of that, trying to convince him that I knew how to say KMOX. And I had a chance to be on KMOX after I'd come to New York and started this program. I did a 1-hour program there where I was a guest on a Sunday night being interviewed by someone, I don't remember who it was, and I got a call after that show from Mr. Highland. He offered me the opportunity to discuss with him the possibility of doing a local once-a-week show. So, I tried constantly, and the fact that I never was successful in those efforts, made me wonder if I was doing the right thing. Because really, I'm not saying this just to be gratuitous. Landing a job at KMOX would have been the end at the times I was trying it. So, no, this is. I'm going to say it's a dream come true is a bit cliched, but boy, it certainly is meaningful.
Did you listen to KMOX radio when you were a kid down in the Cape?
Sure.
In Cape Girardeau?
Absolutely. I mean, I listened to KMOX when I was in St. Louis. I listened to KMOX in Cape Girardeau. I listened to KMOX virtually all the time. Even when I was growing up and listening to top 40 music. I mean, I started listening to the radio in earnest in 1961 when I was 10. And at that time, young kid, you listen to music, and I think it was KXOK back then, but still, the voices that were professional and the voices that were the epitome of broadcast achievement were on KMOX. And as a sports fan, a young Cardinal fan, of course you listen to KMOX and the sports talk shows. And I became aware very early of the KMOX talk radio format. I'll never forget the phrase, hello, so-and-so from Belleville, or so-and-so from Alton, so-and-so from Creve Coeur. Your question or comment, please. So, yeah, I'm familiar with KMOX and my family. Of course, when I started my career, it always was, if I could have gotten on KMOX when I was 21, 22, instead of a station in Pittsburgh, my family would have realized a lot sooner that I was doing something worthwhile.
How do you think this particular area, the people who tune into KMOX, are going to take to you? How do you think they're going to accept Rush Limbaugh?
Although the pattern may be somewhat different since the program's not new and it is so well known by people already. The pattern was show hits the air and immediately reams and reams of faxes and tons of protest phone calls pour into the radio station in shock and dismay that such opinionated conservative programming should be put on the air unchallenged, as they would say. And then after about 3 to 4 weeks, all that stuff dies down, and some of the very same people who send in those faxes and make those phone calls of negativism turn around and say, hey, forget my fax, forget my phone call, I've listened to this now, and I like it. Please don't ever take it off the air. And I think that pattern is going to be repeated. I do think that there are going to be people who are shocked. Look, this is a program that does not hide its opinions. I'm a host that's very firmly rooted in my principles and convictions, and that alone tends to irritate people. So there will be that, but as is the case everywhere, those calls diminish to a relative few, and the overwhelming percentage of the audience becomes just profound supporters. And I expect that pattern to follow suit, but I think it won't take as long for it to play out this time.
This is quite a departure from KMOX to accommodate you. We're very thrilled to have you, but really we're changing our format in the middle of the day. Hey, don't drop the ball.
Well, I know. Earlier on, when I talked about the challenge that I have here, I'm fully aware of what this means for KMOX. And I look at it this way. I look at it that the management of KMOX has made a supreme investment here, and they're investing a lot of trust. And I take this very seriously, and I intend to exercise all of the respect and responsibility commensurate with being on such a radio station as this. So I'm not going to drop the ball. I'm going to score some touchdowns here and even go for a couple of 2-point conversions.
Rush, I'm sure you'll get to know the fact that our KMOX listeners are very, very hip. They're very intelligent. They know what's going on. There'll be a challenge for you.
That's good. I think this program attracts a demographic that is primarily in the 25 to 54 age group. We've done a lot of audience research here to show that it's a high degree of education among our audience, a surprising degree of affluence, considering the time of day that we're on. And I think it's going to be perfect fit. And I would only suggest this to the people of KMOX and in St. Louis who listen to this program and agree with the opinions. You've got to understand that people who oppose it and disagree are going to be loud in voice, and they're going to try to convince people they are loud in number. And I would just caution you to remember this. You go out and buy a new car, and you like it, what do? You drive it. You don't call a dealer and say, man, I love this car. Man, you made me a great deal. Man, I love the airbags in this car. You just drive it. If you go out and buy a car and you don't like it, you call every day and you complain and moan. So those of you who like it had better be heard too, because the organized opposition is just waiting, and they're going to be flooding the radio station with their opinion. You'd better too, because believe me, there are going to be far many more people who love, adore, crave, and want this show than there will be those who will try to get it stopped.
Hey, don't forget, Rush, we have a long-standing date someday when you're in town doing the show, originating your show from KMOX Radio, and the Cardinals are at home. We're going to find out how good you are on play-by-play. Okay, we've got a date at the ballpark.
I'll take the challenge. I'd love to come and be in the play-by-play booth and try my hand at color and play-by-play. And, Jack, I wouldn't even mind going to a barbecue with you if they still do those. The Cardinals' wives used to do the barbecues. If they do them, count me in. Go out to Grant's farm, have a couple of brewskis. I'm in there.
Well, folks, things happen. People come, people go, programs change, programs stay the same. Personalities arrive, they depart. They work here for a long time, they work here for a short time. They've become part of the community. And now we welcome Rush Limbaugh to our roster. Whether he's here for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, who knows? When he has come and he is gone, what remains? KMOX Radio, one of the biggest parts of the community of St. Louis. Those of us who work here are very, very proud to be a part of it. KMOX evolves with the times. KMOX is your radio station.